Before we start, please be aware that viewer discretion is highly recommended. This is only for fun and learning. This is the exact court testimony from Day 5 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial as reported by Inner City Press. Cassie Ventura shared shocking details for the first time about what she claims to have seen in Diddy's secret underground tunnels. This wasn't about music, popularity, or even their unstable relationship. This was something much more serious. She gave her testimony under oath, talking about hidden rooms, drug use, and women wearing masks. Some parts have been edited to follow YouTube's rules, but the main testimony is still the same. What Cassie said during her questioning on the 5th day surprised everyone in the courtroom and might help solve one of the most surprising celebrity trials in recent times. What was hidden under Diddy's empire might finally be revealed. The 5th day of the trial began with an unusual feeling of expectation. Reporters arrived earlier than normal. The public gallery was more crowded than ever, and even the jurors appeared more focused. The atmosphere felt heavy and everyone understood the reason. Cassie Ventura was going back to the stand. Today would be different from the previous days of emotionally intense but legally standard testimony. Algo se acercaba. Cassie walked in quietly with security beside her and sat down opposite the defense. She seemed weary yet peaceful. The judge warned everyone that behavior in the courtroom would be closely monitored. Then the questioning started. The defense, appearing to change tactics, overlooked basic questions about the relationship and instead asked Cassie to describe Diddy's mansion in Los Angeles, its design, arrangement, and safety measures. At first the questions felt strangely related to buildings, but then one question came up that changed everything. "It seems your message is incomplete. Could you please provide the text you would like me to paraphrase?" Tu Ventura, alguna vez has estado debajo de la propiedad dentro del túnel. Hubo una pausa momentánea. Gasping was silenced. The prosecution disagreed, saying it was not relevant and based on guesswork, but the judge approved it. Cassie inhaled deeply. Si ella dijo. That one word changed the atmosphere in the room. For months there were rumors about tunnels, Reddit discussions, anonymous claims, and even jokes in the media, but no one had verified it. Not until now. The defense lawyer asked, "What did you see when you went down there?" "I didn't want to go." Cassie started. "Él me dijo que lo siguiera. Él dijo que tenía algo que mostrarme. Estaba drogado. I was unsure, but I continued." She explained that the entrance was outside, not in the mansion, hidden behind plants near the pool area. It seemed like a hill, just a part of the garden, but there was a hidden door under the leaves. She said that what she saw next would stay with her forever. Concrete stairs and steel doors made it feel colder the further we went down. When we entered, I realized this wasn't just a regular safe room. It was completely different. She stayed quiet until someone asked her, but everyone in the room sensed they were about to hear something unexpected. Cassie's voice was steady as she started to describe what was inside. In fact, that's what made it even more disturbing. Her tone was clear and direct, as if she had practiced this moment in her mind for a long time. The entrance opened into a long hallway with empty walls and bright fluorescent lights. There was a buzzing sound, almost like a machine. It didn't seem like a part of a home. It felt like a large organization. She said the walk was confusing, with winding hallways that had no windows and no cell phone reception. She said Diddy walked in front of her, talking to himself and mumbling about making a point. She considered going back but chose not to. He had that look in his eye that meant don't argue. As they went through a secure door that was opened with a keypad, Cassie said they entered a large room that looked like a chamber. Red lights, cameras in the corners, leather furniture. There was a smell, cleaning products, sweat, and something else. She said the room was not for resting or having fun. It seemed like it was created for another purpose. It was systematic but also twisted. You could sense that something bad had occurred there. Ella señaló detalles. Shelves loaded with props, masks, ropes, oils, and latex costumes. A rack of clothes that looked brand new. Especios en el techo y en el suelo. Padding on the walls to block sound. Ella dijo que nada de eso se sentía como una fantasía. It felt like power. Like it was made to control someone else. The defense pushed her. ¿Habías visto a alguien más allí abajo? Cassie paused. Sure. She talked about seeing two women wearing wigs and masks. One person was lying still on a couch while the other was sitting next to a tripod with a camera on it. They remained silent. No se movieron mucho. Él los llamó intérpretes. No me presentaron. When asked how much time she spent there, she replied, "Not long, I came up with a reason. Dije que me sentía mal." She went back upstairs and locked the bedroom door. 2 hours later, Diddy approached her. He said to me, "You never saw anything. Ese lugar es para mí, no es para ti." It was the first and only time she went there, but she always remembered it. When asked to explain the layout, Cassie provided even more frightening details and mentioned a box of wires. That's when I told him I wanted to go. Ella dijo que Diddy no discutió. She laughed and said she wasn't prepared and that it was too real for her. But what scared her the most were the words he whispered before he opened the last door. She said, "This is where I bring the ones I own." Cassie said she heard quiet sounds behind one door similar to music playing on a speaker, but it was unclear. Then I understood it was voices. She couldn't say who was there. Ella no quería saber. That night she exited the tunnel, trembling. Her clothes had the scent of the place for hours afterward. In court she said she never told anyone. Neither friends nor family. She sintió. It's like if I said something I would disappear. She said the girls in the room. The prosecution questioned why she decided to do this now. It's not just about me anymore. She's still doing this. And if someone else goes down there and never returns, she paused. The judge requested a short break, but no one in the courtroom got up. Everyone stayed put because what had just been said was more than just testimony. Una advertencia. When court started again, the questions moved from what was happening under the mansion to what was happening above it, but it was still very upsetting. The defense attempted to present Cassie's experiences as consensual by highlighting the now well-known term, freak-offs. It was a phrase that had already appeared in her messages with Diddy, often in a fun or secretive way. The court was about to understand what it truly meant. Sure, a freak-off was a type of event or competition where people showed off their unique or unusual talents and skills. It often had a fun and playful atmosphere, focusing on entertainment and creativity. La defensa preguntó. Cassie gave a small nod. Ella dijo una noche planificada. Ella dijo las included sex, sometimes with several people and sometimes on video. Ella signaría roles. Se dieron instrucciones. At times taking drugs was required. The jury was shown text messages from several years ago. In one conversation, Diddy said game starts at 10 p.m. Dejar de hacer esto hasta las 8 a.m. In another, bring candles and get outfits. I want you to wear a wig. Cassie explained that these were not one-time events. They happened at least 2 times a month. Ella dijo unto fueron espontáneos. Ellos were set up like business meetings, with a schedule and timing, and included people who were brought in by helpers. She admitted that she sometimes went along with things. Agreeing while under the influence of drugs is not consent. Ella is often under the influence. Después no recordaba lo que había hecho. The prosecution stepped in to explain that the events Diddy called sessions usually took place in luxury hotels and occasionally in his private homes. Ella dijo en corte and inquired. Cassie took a deep breath. Cassie talked about an occasion when she had to wear a latex suit and stay quiet all night. She was warned that she'd be punished if she didn't follow the rules. That night there were some guests who were not familiar to us. Él nunca dio nombres. Dijeron que la confiara. One message presented as evidence contained a frightening line from Diddy. This time I want to have control. No hay palabra segura. Cassie said she didn't always feel in charge of her own body. After that I felt empty. Ella dijo en court. They doubted my identity. Later she would remove videos and photos. Ella dijo la dita zo niamete tuat. She was afraid that if she talked things would get even worse. The conversation shifted to the role of drugs in these meetings. What substances were often used during these events? The prosecutor asked. Cassie acted quickly. Opiates, MDMA, benzodiazepines, marijuana, but mostly pills that I didn't ask for. Después no sabía que había tomado hasta que me desmayé. She said that Diddy or his staff often gave her the drugs directly. He'd call it something to help me relax, but it actually made me feel unclear, sluggish and overly agreeable. She remembered one night waking up on the floor of his Miami place, covered in sweat, with a camera light still on. Ella dijo la di papapol. No sé quién stavo en la sala. Se dijo la dipa por court that she started to think videos were being stored. Se dijo la dipa por court. O mas y sid meeple pensé que chulo. Eran palabras. Then I understood he was keeping records for control. The defense questioned this claim, asking if she had ever seen these videos. Just once, quickly. He played a clip on his laptop. Yo dos hombres. Se le dijo la dipa court. Y yo había pasada. Se le dijo que la borrara. Se dijo la dipa court. De la borrara. He told me I keep everything for leverage. Cassie described how this control went further than just the bedroom. If she left the house without letting him know, he'd call her 50 times. If she didn't reply, he would threaten to destroy everything. Siladita Bopola Mater went to stop selling drugs to her, saying she was stealing from him. It felt like he was shutting me off from everything outside of him. I relied entirely on others. At one point she said that she tried to get help at a fancy rehab that looked like a spa, but he found out. He arrived and said I was just being dramatic. Sile al día siguiente. The courtroom was silent as she confessed that she had tried several times to stop taking pills by herself, but I couldn't, not with him still around. As her testimony continued into the afternoon, the prosecution began asking different questions. Era ella la única. Cassie moved her head from side to side. It wasn't the only woman, not at all. She said that during several freak-offs, other women were there. Se veces eran escorts. A veces mujeres que no conocía. Y a veces celebridades. She would arrive by car service, sometimes wearing masks and sometimes in tears. She didn't ask any questions. I was very afraid. Se le dijo cola mater. She named Tiffany Red, a past friend, as one of the few people who witnessed what occurred behind closed doors. Tiffany attended my 29th birthday party. Ella vio cosas. She said it was not okay. Siladipal Court looked at an open letter Tiffany wrote years later, which was published in Rolling Stone, criticizing Diddy's behavior. Sidihola Beeple Court, the Sitola Vian Twanik, Shilavan Moisin Pola Beeple Sidihola Beeple Pola 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 Beeple Sidihola Beeple Cola Beeple Pola Beeple. Sissy said feel was happening. Sissa Deeple Court assisted with coordination. They were aware when women were coming. They tidied up afterward. Sissy Hola Beeple Pola Beeple Pola Beeple. Sissy said chill when the Sajid Moy Centura Beeple Pola Beeple. The running staff see what was happening. She remembered the moment she understood that her privacy was not real. Una vez via uno de sus asistentes entrando donde estábamos. He didn't show any reaction, just replied, "Sorry boss." The defense said this didn't show any intention to commit a crime, but Cassie's words had a strong impact. No se trataba de sexo. It was about following rules and giving in. They needed to feel invulnerable. When asked why many people remained quiet for so long, she quickly replied, "Porque pensamos que nadie falle." Nos que, because he's a bit silly. She paused. But now the truth is revealed, and I'm not the only one willing to share. As the courtroom prepared for the next part of the testimony, the prosecution moved on to the most painful part so far, the physical abuse. Sissy had already talked about the manipulation, the secret tunnel, and the troubling parties, but what happened next was not symbolic. Eran mortones. Era sangre. Her body was hurt in silence. It seems like your message got cut off. Could you please provide the full text that you would like me to simplify? Combs te agradio físicamente alguna vez. Sissy say vc 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 vc. The silver sol. Sissy nodded while looking down. Yes, many times. She talked about early signs, like grabbing her wrist too tightly and pushing her during fights. He always said sorry afterward and promised it wouldn't happen again, but it always did. Pola beetle. Lucio photos of a cut above her eyebrow. Sissy confirmed that it happened one night, when she returned home late after having dinner alone. Ella pensó que estaba engañando. I wasn't. She said he was drunk, paranoid, and aggressive. I was meant to be packing for a trip, but I was feeling tired. Yo quedé dormido en el sofá. I woke up to his screams.
No recuerdo mucho después de eso, solo el dolor.
She remembered getting kicked in the back after he read a message from another man. The prosecution insisted. Do you recall who it was?
¿Sabes olvidó? Dijo ella. Ocio que estábamos teniendo una aventura.
She said they dated for a short time while she was on a break from Diddy, but he couldn't move on. He mentioned it all the time and used it to explain everything. She explained that even when she tried to leave, he found ways to hurt her. He would send messages through people I trusted to ensure I felt monitored, and reminded me who was in charge. When she was asked why she didn't go to the police, she replied, because I didn't think anyone would believe me.
El debía poder. I did not.
Then she told the court something that made a big impact. After a really bad night, he tossed me into the Caribbean from a boat, and called me dead weight. I swam to the shore, and then returned to him.
Así se dice. Ocio que está lobito. Ocio que es stressed.
The judge asked for a short break, but the harm was already done. Cassie had just made it clear that the abuse was real, and not something hidden. It was real.
Fio violento. Ocio fio fio fi. Ocio fio fi. Ocio fio fi. Ocio fi.
When the court started again, the prosecution carefully led Cassie through the last and most well-known event, the Intercontinental Hotel incident. This was not a rumor. This wasn't just rumors on the internet. Esta fue la noche que lo cambió todo.
Si esta la noche antes de la premiere de tu película, they questioned. Ocio fi. Ocio fi. Ocio fi. Ocio fi. Ocio fi.
I felt proud of the film.
Que dia celebré. Pero dicio fi.
Diddy said that he pushed her to have one more freak off.
Él dijo que sería rápido, que nos ayudaría a reconectar. Ella dudaba. Al principio, ella dijo que no, pero él insistió.
He said it was a tradition that every important moment needed one of our nights.
In the end she gave in. I wanted peace.
I didn't want to argue the night before my red carpet event.
Cassie said she was taken to the Intercontinental thinking it would only be the two of them.
When she got there were already a few people in the room, 2 women, 1 male dancer, candles and cameras.
Yo sabía lo que era. Ella dijo que le diera una pastilla. Él dijo que me ayudaría a relajarme.
I was really tired.
Lo tomé.
She recalled brief images of the dancer wearing a mask.
Diddy is recording on his phone,
while she looks in the mirror, mumbling words she doesn't recall saying.
Then nothing happened.
I woke up alone hours later, covered in sweat. I looked at my phone. He sent a message that said, "You were amazing. I feel proud." I didn't understand what he was saying.
Ella nunca preguntó.
She stood up, cleaned herself, and walked the red carpet a few hours later with a smile.
Nadie lo sabía. Nadie lo sabía. Nadie vio los moretones debajo del vestido.
The prosecution showed several texts from that day.
Diddy asked her if she was still glowing, and if she wanted to do it again after the after party.
Su respuesta.
I didn't reply.
That night, something within her shattered. For the first time, she began to imagine life without him.
No fue solo una noche.
It was the final limit after 10 years of control. The next morning she flew alone to New York. Diddy did not follow. After many years, she finally felt free to breathe. The last part of Cassie's Day 5 testimony was calm and controlled. Not as surprising as the tunnel or the violence, but somehow more haunting because it revealed what happens after the cameras are gone. She talked about her efforts to heal.
Al principio fingí que nada de esto había pasado.
I told people we just drifted apart, but inside she was hurting.
Ella comenzó terapia.
Then she began to recall details. Nights she had held back, people she had encountered, rooms she had walked into. Then the civil lawsuit began. It was submitted quickly and resolved even quicker. But for Cassie it wasn't about money. It was a record, a document that stated I wasn't crazy.
Suicidio.
Her lawsuit started a lot of similar cases. In the weeks that followed, other women shared their experiences. There were anonymous accounts, new complaints, and then an FBI raid. Authorities raided Diddy's properties, looking for evidence linked to trafficking and coercion.
Lo que encontraron sigue celado.
But there were rumors about hidden buildings, files,
and even recording devices. Reporters requested to interview Cassie. Ella rechazo. No quería convertirme en un símbolo. I only wanted to be free. But now she was in federal court, explaining everything in detail. When asked under oath what she wanted to achieve from all this, she replied right away, responsibility, not only for me, but for everyone who entered that house, for every person who vanished into those tunnels and never returned. Her testimony ended with that. The courtroom was quiet as the judge released the jury for the day. Cameras were not allowed inside, but everyone outside already knew that something very important had just occurred. Cassie Ventura no solo testificó. She uncovered a hidden world that had been protected by money, fame, and silence. And no matter what happens next, the truth is revealed.